Do these classrooms look familiar to you? At one time, maybe, they were recognized as the traditional school setup. But what about these classrooms? These are all pictures of what today's classrooms now look like due to the increased role of technology in the educational system. The use of laptops, iPads, and smartphones are so widespread that they have become rooted in our society and implemented into the classroom setting. But are the traditional means of education, such as pen and paper, textbooks, and lecture, being preserved? Or are these conventional methods being kicked to the curb by the technological advances of the century? Our host, Emily Hanrahan, will address these questions by getting a student's take on the issue.
Today I'll be interviewing freshman from Syracuse University, Corey Puchal, who's a double major in both CRS and information technologies. How has the increase in technology in the classroom affected the way you learn?
I personally zone out of technology because I'm more of a traditional learner. I think the textbook is more effective and it's the way that I like to learn because I'm writing. However, if it's effective for you to type, then by all means just make sure you concentrate on the content you're learning. So for example, when it comes to textbooks, I like to carry a textbook with me, but I know it's heavier, so some people bring a tablet or a laptop, which is still effective, but the traditional sense of learning with a book is definitely more effective when it comes to long-term knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
Although Corey's conclusion that using a textbook over electronic devices was better for long-term knowledge came from her own personal experience, a study published by BMC Medical Education looked at the traditional learning method and knowledge retention, and found that students using an interactive computer activity to prepare for an anatomy test was comparable to the traditional learning method in the short term, but as far as long-term knowledge goes, the traditional lecture method proved more effective.
And do you think the educational reform can be implemented in the classroom setting without dismantling the traditional academic approach?
Yes. However, there needs to be a fine line between what can be used with technology versus what shouldn't be, because not everything needs to be reliant on technology. In case it crashes, you lose everything. If you have a notebook, you always have the notebook. So with certain things, it's good to be interactive, but in the general sense of education, I think that the traditional style is the best way. It's evident to me that in most of my classes, more than half of the students are on applications such as Facebook, iChat, Twitter during class rather than people taking notes, which is mainly a distraction. It's what's called a second screen. So basically, they have the lecture screen that's in front of them that they should be paying attention to, whereas the computer, you could be following along with the notes, but you're doing other things. So you're basically trying to focus on two different things, but in reality, the technology is what's overtaking your sense of concentration. So even though you have that first screen, you're, I guess, ignoring it and really just paying attention to what is closest in front of you. And it's just very distracting when you're on social media versus your lecture slides.
Just like Corey's concern that the second screen phenomenon is distracting students, 40% of principals also feel this way among other issues that have been taken into account when bringing technology to education. In addition to other concerns comes the added consequences of device-oriented learning according to Educational Tech Review. It seems the only way to integrate technology into education is by approaching it from Charles Kenny of Bloomberg Businessweek's perspective that shouldn't be banned from the classroom altogether, but they should only be implemented when the basics are already there, basically saying that computers and technology are not a quick fix to a failing education system, and they should only be used as a supplement.
Thank you everyone for watching this segment of In Between the Water Fountain. We have now quenched our thirst for knowledge.